Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Baruch HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect, the men, women, and children that are predestined to receive salvation and to be the first fruits of the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of Israel. Yahweh is the Heavenly Father's true name in ancient Hebrew, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Israelites. And Yahawashi is the name of his only begotten Son, the Savior and Redeemer of the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, so brother Tazawam, I'm just coming back with another lesson. This is just going to be a response video to Elder Apostle Tahar's video entitled, "We Are All Oppressed." All right, and he was basically doing a response to the statement that Captain Tazariak of the ISUPK made when he was doing this interview with this guy who you see on the left. And he basically made an incorrect, wrong statement saying that he personally is not oppressed. And like I said, I just wanted to do, just a land back, follow-up response video on the video Elder Tahar did. But before that, I'll just play this clip on what Tazariak had said in this interview he was doing.
Every year they bring up the crimes that Osama bin Laden do. But they're still in power. They still have their military, they still have their might, they still go out and cheat. They go out and do everything to make America great. So now I said that to say, me personally, because you asked me personally, I am personally not oppressed. But my people are. Why you're not personally oppressed? Let me just finish. I am not personally oppressed, but my people are. And the reason why they are.
That's a wrong statement. You're oppressed. Just like I'm oppressed, just like every Israelite is oppressed. Look, even Floyd Mayweather is oppressed.
So there you have it, man. And like Elder Apostle Tahar said, every Israelite that is breathing, all right, living, on the earth in this age, in this world, is oppressed in some form, shape, or fashion. All right, and especially if you are living in what they call a first world country, all right, or a society, that has a standing government. Okay, and senators, presidents, prime ministers, foreign ministers, whatever they are called. If you're an Israelite and you're living under the authority of a particular government, wherever you are, currently located on the earth, then you are under oppression. All right, and we'll just get that just to prove it. Okay, so I got a few scriptures here. Now, this is just a quote real quick from Meyer Amschel Rothschild, okay, which is the forefather, all right, of the Rothschild family. He says, it is quoted, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." All right, so ultimately, everybody is oppressed that is using fiat money, that is using money that is not, that is not their own money. All right, and all of the monies of the world, you have the U.S. dollar as being the world currency. Okay, so all of the money, all right, physical money of the world are issued by central banks. Okay, central banks, and the Rothschild family is a head family of the central banks, whether it be the Federal Reserve Central Bank of America, all right, or the Central Bank of EU, okay, the Central Bank of Canada, the Central Bank of Australia, all right, hey, even the Central Bank of China, all right, because China has a central bank, but guess who they have to deal with? They have to deal with the other central banks in order for money to be moved, okay, and a lot of these central banks, in order to be a central bank in this world, you got to use the world currency, which is the U.S. dollar. So I posted this quote up to say that if you are once again using money, all right, as a means of buying and selling, all right, if you're operating within the system that is currently being orchestrated and controlled by the wicked, pursuant to Job in 9 verse 24, then you are oppressed. Now let's get this scripture in Isaiah chapter 14 verse 4. It says, "And thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased." Now, when you go into the definition here of oppressor, you have the word nagas. All right, nagas. So when you read it here, it says to press, drive, oppress, exact, exert, demanding pressure. To press, drive, to exact, drive, driver, taskmaster, ruler, oppressor, tyrant, lord, exactor of tribute. All right. Going to the Strong's definition, says to drive, an animal, a workman, a debtor, an army. So, if you are a worker of any type of trade, okay, you are being oppressed. Even if you try to say, well, you work for yourself. Well, guess what? When you work for yourself, by implication, all right, as it says right here, the word says by implication to tax, harass, tyrannize, distress, driver, exactor, a raiser of taxes, taskmaster. All right. So even if you consider yourself, I'm self-employed, well, you got to pay some form of taxes, whether it be income tax, state tax, property tax, federal tax. All right. Sales tax, a toll tax. All right. any type of a tax, that you are demanded to pay, then you are being oppressed, because the person who is demanding these payments is in the scriptures considered a oppressor. Okay, he's considered an oppressor, and who is he oppressing? The ones who are under his authority to pay these taxes. Okay, once again, whatever tax it is, because certain people will say, I work for myself, so I don't pay income tax. Well, guess what? If you don't want to get charged by the IRS, if you don't want to get involved in a criminal offense of tax evasion, then you have to pay taxes on that income that you create, that you made throughout the year. All right, whenever you buy a good, all right, or a service, and most of the times you're going to pay a tax on that good or service. All right, and who does that tax go to? Ultimately, it goes to the the central bankers, the elites, but it goes through a channel, through your state, through your federal, all right, so on and so forth. But it's ultimately going back to what my Amshel Bauer said: permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws, because the strongest power, all right, of a nation, so like you. The strongest power that a nation has is its ability to control the money. All right, its military and its ability to control the money. But really, money is the whoever has control of the money has the most power of a nation. All right, that's why they say all wars are bankers' wars, right? So now let's go to the scripture in the book of Luke, the 2nd chapter, the 1st verse, because this idea of paying tribute, which is also a form of paying taxes, all right, which the word raiser of taxes is considered an oppressor. This is a ancient custom, all right. It says Luke chapter 21 verse 1. It says, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Okay, and all the world under his authority, or all the provinces and countries that he ruled as an emperor, as a Caesar, he made a decree that everybody should be taxed. It says, and this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. Now let's go into this word tax, because as Elder Apostle Tahar made mention, if you have a passport, all right, if you have a license, if you have a social security, if you have a birth certificate, all those are forms of being of oppression. And the reason why that is thus is because of this word right here, taxed.
Strong's G 583. Apocrypho. Apocrypho.
Apocrypho, all right, and when I'm listening to the word, it kind of sounds like for photography or a photograph, all right, and that's what all these different whether it be state issued or federal issued records or certificates, that's what they all have. They all have a photograph of yourself, so that you can be identified. Okay, which is why Elder Tahar was saying, like, if you try to hop on a plane, try to go hop on a plane and go to Israel, right? They're going to tell you you're not going to be able to get on that plane unless you have a passport, and that passport has a photograph of yourself to identify you. So let's go into this word. Apocrypho means to write off, to enter in a register or records, specifically to enter in public records the names of men, their property and income, to enroll. You see? So when somebody, this is why they have the census. This is why they have, your birth certificate, because your birth certificate is entered into a public record. Okay. Your license, all right, is entered into a public record with your face on it. A passport is entered into a public record with your face on it. All right. When you signing, where it says write off or copies, when you signing pieces of paper, whether it be you signing to get a car, all right, whether it be a lease or a finance, guess what? You're getting taxed on that purchase. When you sign, the deed or your mortgage for a loan for a house, well, you now entered into public records your name, your property, and your income, and all these things, and then based off of that, you're going to get taxed. All right, certain different cities have property taxes. Some are higher, some are lower, based off of the income of that city. All right, the collective income that people of that city make. So you're going to get taxed. Once again, in the definition of an oppressor is the raiser of taxes, or somebody who taxes or exacts tribute. You see? So yes, we all are oppressed because we all are being taxed. We have to pay tribute. It says, and Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of out of the city of Nazareth into Judea unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. So David, or Salakia, Joseph, Yahushai's paternal father, all right, he was taxed, all right, and Mary, his mother, all right, well, really was just the husband, because that was the head of the household. He was being taxed. Even before you had women working, the whole women's suffrage and things of that nature, you would have just the man was being taxed in the household because he was the breadwinner. He was the one that was making money. But when this whole women's liberation and all that movement which was actually, funded and operated by men, okay, the elitist men of the world, it was so that the household can be double taxed. It can be taxed not only just by the man, but also by the woman who is working. So you even have heathens. You have Edomites that are taxed. And that's also how like even a Congress or even a president of the United States is being oppressed, and he is not a actual elite of the world, because he also has to pay taxes, even though there was talk about him evading taxes and him doing backhanded stuff in order to pay very minimum taxes. He still was liable to pay taxes, which is why all the presidents and these people, it always comes up about their taxes being made public. Okay, that is always an issue. When the presidents candidates run for presidency, and also what is a primary issue of topic between the presidents when they're doing the debate is what? Taxes. Okay, are taxes going to be raised? Are taxes going to be lowered? Are the rich going to be taxed more? Because that lets you know that even though you are rich, considered quote unquote rich in this world, you're not sovereign in this world. So, like how Elder Tahar had mentioned, Floyd Mayweather, with all the multi millions that he makes, he is still being oppressed because he is being taxed. All right, so let's get a couple more. Deuteronomy 28, verse 45. It says, more, I'm gonna start at 44. It says, and he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Now, what are you lending? All right, money. Okay, that's the the primary form of buying and selling in this world is your FRNs. So who do you have to go to for FRNs? You can't create FRNs yourself. You got to go to a federal, a Federal Reserve Bank to get those notes. All right. Verse 45, it says, moreover, all these curses, and this is all curses because we are oppressed, shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power to keep his commandments and his statutes which he's commanded thee. So being taxed, being a borrower, having to go to somebody to lend, all these are part of the curses of oppression. All these are part of the curses of being made a servant, all right, somebody who has to pay tribute unto a king, all right, and the king of this world being Esau Edom, starting with the elites, all right, the ones who issue and has control over nations' money. Now, this is the book of Matthew 17, verse 24. It says, and when they were to come to Capernaum, they that received tributes came to Peter. Now let's go into this word tribute. Salakia, they that received tribute money. All right. Let's see what this word tribute means. It says a didakrimon or double dakma, a silver coin equal to 2 attic drachmas or drachmas, or 1 Alexandrian, or one half a shekel. Okay, so it's basically a coin, a piece of money that had a value to it. Okay, and I guess that was the rate of the tax, all right, of the taxation that was to be paid in this reading this passage right here. Let me just close this. So it says that they received the tribute money, came to Peter and said, do not your master pay tributes? All right, so does he basically pay his due unto Caesar, his taxes? Verse 25, he said, yes. And when he was coming to the house, Yahushua prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, of strangers. Yahushua saith unto him, then are the children free. You see that? Yahushua told Peter that the children are free because the children of the kings of the earth don't pay taxes. You think the Rothschilds and their children, all right, pay taxes? Hell no. Okay. Hey, even which I did pull up, and I'll get it real quick. Even the Queen Elizabeth doesn't even pay taxes, man. All right, and she's a lowest. Well, I won't say lowest, but that whole sovereign, the crown of England. They're not even the elites of the world, man. They're not even of the topper echelon, but yet they don't even pay taxes. Now, this is finances of the British royal family. Okay, and why don't they pay taxes? Because they have what is called a sovereign grant act. All right, they have a sovereignty. So let's get right to the point here. It says taxation. The crown, all right, speaking about the British royal family, has a legal tax exempt status because of certain acts of parliament, because certain acts of parliament do not apply to it. Crown bodies such as the Duchy of Lancaster are not subject to legislations concerning income tax, capital gain tax, or inheritance tax. Furthermore, the sovereign has no legal liability to pay such taxes. The Duchy of Cornwall has a crown exemption, and the Prince of Wales is not legally liable to pay income tax on Duchess revenues. All right. Now we jump down to here. This is very interesting because I had typed in originally, does the Queen Elizabeth pay taxes? All right, and it brought me to this part right here. It says the Queen voluntarily pays a sum equal to income tax on her private income and income from the private purse that is not used for official purposes. The sovereign grant is exempted. Sovereign grant is exempted. So she volunteers to pay taxes. All right. She and once again, it's not compulsory. It's not mandatory for her. All right, all the Prince of Wales or any of the any of the royal family to pay taxes because they have a sovereign grant. Okay, so let's get this. This is the book of Romans 13, and this is verse 1. And this whole chapter is basically talking about, well, the majority of the chapter is talking about being subject to governments, all right, or higher powers, as it is said. So I'm gonna start at verse 4. It says, "For he is a minister of God to thee for good." I'm gonna start at 3. It says, "For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is a minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain." Okay, and that's talking about, Esau and his government, man. If you are basically what they call a quote unquote law abiding citizen, then you shouldn't be getting caught up in criminal legislation, criminal allegations, I should say. If you don't steal, if you don't commit murder, all right, if you don't do the things that Esau's laws say are forbidden, which a lot of these things are, things that you shouldn't really be doing regardless. Like I said before, committing, theft or larceny or, grand theft auto, murdering, all these things. He said what? But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. So this devil, he gonna come down upon you, especially being an Israelite, way harder than he's gonna come down upon anybody else. And you see that why the prisons are disproportionately filled with his so-called Hispanics and blacks, aka the Israelites, because that wrath that the Lord uses Esau for, all right, for Jake going off, comes down even worse and harder on Israel. It says, "For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject." Okay, and when you go into this word subject, once again, going back to being oppressed, because we all are oppressed, or we all are made subject under the governments that we are, currently living in. It says to arrange under, to subordinate, to subject, put in subject, and to subject oneself, obey, to submit to one's control. All right. It says to be under obedience, obedient, put to subdue unto. So you are under the control of the government, and who controls the government? Esau, Edom. All right, who controls? Who controls the government, the central banks, and who controls the central banks? Esau, Edom. All right, the wicked elite of this world. So you are under subject unto them. And how do you know that you're under subject unto them? Not only must you abide by their laws, okay, aka you must also pay tribute. It says, "Wherefore you must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but for also for conscience sake." So yeah, you got to think about certain things in order for before you actually do them, because if not, then you could be subject to a penalty, whether it be imprisonment or whether it be a fine. Either way, those are both oppressive, oppressive consequences. Okay, so you got to have conscience. Say you got to think before you do something. That's why when you go to travel, you think about, do I have my license or do I have my passport with me? All right. When you go on a highway, you think about, do I have money to pay this toll? Okay. When you go to a store, you make sure you have enough money, not only just to cover the actual expense of the good, but to also cover the tax that is going to be added. You don't go to the store and say, nah, well, this says $5.99, and they say, well, tax included. You don't say, oh wait, nah, I'm not paying taxes. No. Why? Because you are oppressed. Okay. And the oppressor, all right, has the rights in his kingdom to do what? To charge you. But he doesn't charge his children. And I mean the children, I'm talking about the elites. Because Esau, being just as devilish as he is, he charges his other Edomites. You know? Other Edomites, the lower level, what they call the useless eaters of the world, they are also being taxed as well. They are being oppressed as well. All right. Keep going. It says, verse 6, for this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. All right. So no matter what, you are being oppressed, man. All right, which is why we're waiting for Yahweh Shai Hamashiach to return to deliver us from the hand of those that hate us. Okay, from the hand of our enemies, from being oppressed by these heathens, man, specifically by Esau, Edom. All right, and I'll get that, and I'll close it out with that. This is the book of book of Luke, chapters 1, verse 68. It says, blessed be the Lord power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. He has spake as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which has been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. Okay, because being put in the hands of your enemies, all right, uh, brings forth, enslavement, brings forth being scattered, brings forth you losing your native tongue, okay, and also ultimately brings forth you being made to pay tribute to the one who is over you, to the oppressor. All right, and you have no control, no say, no power to not pay taxes, man, because you are oppressed. And until Yahweh Shai returns, we will continually be oppressed. But this is why we hasten the coming of the day of the Lord, so that we can be completely sovereign, all right, have our own land, have our own inheritance, all right, and have our oppressors underneath our rule and oppressed all those that oppressed us. Because understanding the kingdom, these other nations, they will be paying tribute unto us. All right. And that's according to prophecies. You can read that in the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter. In Revelation, actually, let me get that. Revelation, what's that, 22nd chapter? Okay. Once in the kingdom, we shall not be oppressed anymore. Where is it? Yep. Hey, right here, this is not even what I'm looking for, but it says that what? Revelation 22, verse 3, and there shall be no more curse. All right. Because once again, a part of the curses is being a lender, as being a borrower and not a lender, being in debt. All right. Being made subject to payments. All those are part of the curses. All right. And tribute, paying taxes, is being made subject to payments. But which one did I want? Might have been actually in verse. Is it 21? Yeah. Revelation 21, verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and their kings of the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor to it. What's the glory and honor of a king? His riches, his wealth. Okay, but those are going to be given into the saints, into to the house of David, starting with Yahushua and the elect, man. All right, the wealth of the nations, the forces of the Gentiles shall be laid up and given unto the nation of Israel. All right, starting with the ruling class of the nation of Israel, which is the elect. It says, "And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no no night. For there shall be no night there, and they shall bring their glory and honor of the nations into it." All right, so yeah, in the kingdom of heaven, these nations are going to be oppressed, but for now, we are, oppressed, man. But that's why, once again, we are seeking for the continuing city, man. All right, the New Jerusalem, where we won't have to be subject to payments, where we won't have to be, paying taxes. All right, and all these other different, curses that comes along with being, in the hands of our enemy. So, Lord willing, this is edifying unto the elect. Call Lord Yahweh Bashim El Shai Bashim Rakak Wadash. Till next time, Shalom.